court minutes from the January 21st, 2025 meeting as presented. Sam, call the roll.
Logston?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Bleemel?
Yes.
Judge Summers?
Yes.
Sanders?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Treasurer's transfer report, Canan.
Yes, Judge, and that was dated for January the 31st, also for February the 4th for your approval.
I'll make a motion that we approve the treasurer's transfer report as presented.
I'll second.
Got a motion by 2nd District Magistrate Logston, a second by 3rd District Magistrate Johnson to approve the treasurer's transfer report as presented. Sam, call the roll, please.
Johnson?
Yes.
Bleemel?
Yes.
Judge Summers?
Yes.
Sanders?
Yes.
Logston?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Presentation approval of all bills.
I make a motion that we approve the presentation and approval of all bills.
I'll second.
Got a motion by 4th District Magistrate Bleemel, a second by 1st District Magistrate Sanders to approve the bills as presented. Sam, call the roll, please.
Bleemel?
Yes.
Judge Summers?
Yes.
Sanders?
Yes.
Logston?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Judge, I have a question
Sure.
very quickly. Talking about the budget and different, the old treasury report. I was reviewing our report that we got last month, I think it was year to date, and I noticed that the coroner's office had went over. And I was wondering if we need to relook at that as far as the budget part.
Yes, it's been a dialogue in our office for the last,
Okay.
there's quite a bit to that. And if you need to, we'll ask the coroner to come speak about it as well, because we have the obligation to take care of those who don't have a place to their final resting.
Okay.
Okay? Does that help you, Vera?
Wanting to bring that to the court's attention, because after reviewing it, it kind of raised a red flag to me.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Yep. Diane Shoemaker, guest speaker, 681 Helmwood Circle, Mount Washington, KY. If you want to speak about the ordinance that's coming up, we have opportunities to do that when you do it. Okay? Where you at? Okay. If you'll wait till after we read the ordinance, then you can. Is that fair enough? Thank you. Anita Stump, Chamber of Commerce. Good morning, Anita.
I put this at your seats before court started. I just wanted to draw your attention to, well, all of our events. We would love your participation. We would love for you all to come to all of our events. But the morning mingle that's going to be hosted at the Jim Eaton Resource Center on February 25th, I would love to have your all's participation at that. It's February 25th, 8:30 to 9:30. And we've also started a veterans networking group. The first one is going to be on Wednesday, February 26th. I think that is also Small Business Day at the Capitol. I will be at the Capitol, so I will not be at this event. So if anybody's interested in going to the Capitol with us, reach out to me, let me know. But if not, if you know of any veterans, we would love for them to participate in our event on the 26th. That's going to be at the library, the Central Branch. And then our Wild Wild West Casino Night. This is our third annual casino night. It's been a Mardi Gras theme the last couple of years. This year we're doing Wild West. And it's going to be a good time. There is a QR code on the back. And for members in the audience, I have some on the back pew if anybody would like one of these. But we have some ribbon cuttings and after hours and, of course, the morning mingle. I would just really like to have your participation at that, with it being at Jim Eaton's Resource Center. So that is all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anita.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Presentations, Brian Whitaker, the Detention Center Policy and Procedures.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning, Brian.
Sheriff, how you doing, sir? Good. Just real quick, on January 27th, I emailed all you all our updated 2025 Policy and Procedures Manual. Hopefully everybody was able to review that. There's only a slight change on Policy 68, which is restraint. And if you go to Section H, restraint of pregnant females. On H2, we totally removed section that starts with the application of restraints during all other pre and postpartum periods should be restricted as much as possible when used, and when used, done with consultation with medical staff for the most successful outcome of pregnancy. Cooperation among jail staff, medical staff, and pregnant inmate is required. We totally removed that section. And if you go to I, the letter I, restraint should be done by the least restrictive means necessary and in a way that mitigates adverse clinical consequences. We removed that and replaced that with restraint shall be limited to solely handcuffs in the front of her body unless further restraint is required to protect herself or others. Then if you go to K, if you go towards the third line from the bottom, we added, after C-section births, examples of extraordinary risk of escape that cannot be reasonably minimized through any method other than restraints. That's the only thing we added to that. That's the only change there is to the entire policy for 2025. And Tammy was able to review that, and she thought it was good verbiage. This is more in line to state law. We want to change the verbiage so everybody will understand it more clearly. So that's the only thing we did for 2025.
And Judge, I did review that, and it's perfectly acceptable. That should be approved.
Okay. Any questions, members?
We need a motion to approve changes to that.
Yes.
I'll put that in the form of a motion that we accept the changes to the detention center policy and procedures as presented by Jailer Brian Whitaker.
I second.
Got a motion by Second District Magistrate Logsdon, a second by First District Magistrate Sanders to approve the changes to the detention center policy and procedures as presented by Jailer Whitaker. Sam, call the roll, please.
Judge Summers?
Yes.
Sanders?
Yes.
Logston?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Leamle?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian.
So that's approved, the entire manual's reapproved for 2025.
Yes.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate you all. Thank
Yep.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, state of emergency update. Have the team in here. We have Justin Bourne,
Morning.
John Waters, and Chris.
I'll pull the slide for you real quick.
Okay, there you go.
All right, on this slide, you can see that the Louisville National Weather Service predicted for our area, they expected us to get between 1/4 inch and 3/4 inch of ice. What we actually received was average 1/2 inch. Next slide, please. This one, you can see that they predicted us to getting between 3 to 6 inches of snow. We received an average of 7.8. This report was generated by dispatch, and this was just from January 3rd through the 5th. The areas that were hit the most with ice and snow was Nichols with 19 trees down, and Southeast with 23. Zone had 3 related structure fire runs, which Shepherdsville and Nichols assisted with. Sheriff's Office responded to 13 accidents, and Shepherdsville with 18. As far as preparedness, for this windstorm, we had several weather briefings with the National Weather Service several days before the actual incident and leading up to the day of. We had representatives from police, fire, and EMS in the Emergency Operations Center, and we coordinated with the school board and the turnaround center for warming shelters throughout the county. Smart 911, so when we attend the county fair and the city festivals, we try to get the public to sign up for Smart 911 as much as possible. Within this, you can create a profile with as little or much information as you want to share. One of those things would be that you are electric dependent, meaning that you have to have, example, a ventilator. we ran a report showing the county had 54 active accounts that require power for these devices. We made routine daily phone calls to these accounts to ensure they still had power. If they ever lost power, then we were able to make arrangements for them. Recovery, we are now in the recovery side of this, meaning that we have completed all of our surveys throughout the county of damage, staying in contact with Salt River and the state, and we have started the financial reimbursement process, which John will talk about now.
Morning. So this photo was taken from one of our radio tower sites off Deedsville Road. We got reports that our access road was impassable due to trees and lines down. With the assistance of Southeast Bullitt Fire, we were able to respond out there and clear the roads. We were able to check on our radio equipment. For damage thresholds, FEMA defines a damage threshold as the minimum dollar amount. And they use an equation to receive that per each county in the state, and that's the population times the $4.72 per person. So our damage threshold for the county is $388,064.24. That's the threshold we have to meet during a state of emergency. As of January 29th, the state issued an email saying that they were at $185,521 for us, and that was before RECC submitted their reports. With their reports, we're well over $500,000 alone with just them. So we're going to meet our threshold. So we are waiting on the president to sign a declaration of disaster on his end. That opens up federal dollars to come to states and then locally. That will be through FEMA and their reimbursement process. FEMA will open up the public assistance grant funding for counties or cities that was implemented or got hit by the storm. They will issue us a project manager through the state, and we will work with them to create projects. And each project is a category. The categories are defined by the types of work performed. So examples would be, debris removal, any emergency protective measures done by police, fire, EMS, any damages to buildings or equipment. And then reimbursement will vary depending on when the projects are submitted and whenever FEMA gets done with their internal reviews.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning, Chris.
So EMS, as EMA, Mr. Warren and John spoke about, we met several times leading up to the event in order to prepare. We have some guidelines that tell us when this event occurs, if it's a mild event or a low-level event, then we kind of monitor it. If it proceeds into a severe event, then we move up to level 2 or level 3. We ended up going to a level 3 late Sunday once the weather got pretty bad, the roads got pretty bad, which we started calling in the previous shift and the shift that's following that shift to make sure that we had coverage for the county. That way we didn't have our providers trying to make it to work on the bad roads or not having providers there because of the bad roads, unable to make it. With that, we had enough people to staff 10 ambulances at all times and rotate them off to make sure that they had plenty of rest and weren't going out there unsafely. We also were able to put 3 people on each ambulance to help lift and move patients if necessary. Fortunately, the weather was terrible, but our call volume didn't really increase, didn't really change. I think if you want to hit the next slide, please. I think we had 113 calls total during the storm, and only 31 of them were a direct result of the storm. 16 of those were falls, 13 of those were traffic accidents, and then 2 were traumatic injuries. That could have been a fall or somebody bumping their head or whatever the case might be. Nobody was significantly injured, and thankfully we made out pretty good, and the county was covered in case we needed it.
Thank you, Chris.
Any questions?
Justin? Questions, Court?
I got, not know if it's a question as much as a comment, but could you go back to that Smart 911 slide? And this is, pardon my ignorance, but I did not really realize for whatever reason that this actually existed for people. Because I sometimes see on social media when we do have power storms that people are often concerned about those individuals that might be on oxygen and so forth. So this, help me out a little bit more. So they can sign up for this, and then you can identify within the county, like who to check on, who needs maybe assistance. And I mean, that's really impressive. You said 54 people, I think.
There were just 54 accounts within the county that were electric dependent. It has a lot more information than that. Like I said, you can put in there as little or as much as you want, all the way to codes to get into your house in case there's a fire, or how many pets you have.
Right.
Excuse me. Or if your front door is not accessible and you have to go to the side door or to the basement, something like that.
Can you all, and you may already have this, but I just don't remember seeing it, and I may have overlooked it, but can you all create like something for Facebook that we can share?
Sure.
And maybe we can kind of help get that out there too. I know you said you do the different fairs and.
We do the Washington City Festival, and we promote the QR code. And
Yeah.
it
I
really
think
is
that's a
out.
really, really good feature there. Nice to know that in those situations, if somebody is on oxygen or requires that, any of those items listed there on that slide that it's just a really good thing. But yeah, if y'all could do that and share, no rush, but that'd be something we could try to push out there a little more too.
We will.
So also on that, do you all kind of share that information with like the electric company, gas company? Or does that maybe make them a priority to try to, if they do
Yes,
lose
so
power?
we would reach out to them first, and if they were in a different area of the county and they were not able to restore their power, then we would get them a shelter temporarily. But yes, we can share that information to them.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
That is a good service.
Thank you all. You did a great job during the emergency that we did have.
Thank you all.
Okay, Angie? First reading and public hearing for zoning ordinance 25-05, GAB Enterprises LLC.
Good morning.
Morning.
Docket number 2024Z64, applicant owners GAP Enterprises LLC, rezoned from R1 to IL. Location is Griffiths Lane with parcel number 034-SE0-20-003, located in the unincorporated area of the county. Size of the property is 1.4 acres, more or less. Purpose was warehousing. Comprehensive plan calls for agricultural, rural, residential. The Bullitt County Planning Commission held a public hearing on January 9th, 2025. Based upon the testimony of the applicant, the Bullitt County Planning Commission finds the map amendment is not in agreement with the comprehensive plan. However, there have been major changes within the area which were not anticipated in the comprehensive plan and have been altered by basic characters of such area. The sidewalk portion of the landscaping requirements have been waived. However, if adjoining sidewalks are constructed, they must do so as well. Because of the testimony received at the public hearing, the Bullitt County Planning Commission recommends the zoning change be approved and sends a favorable recommendation to Bullitt County Fiscal Court.
Tammy?
Commonwealth of Kentucky, County of Bullitt, zoning ordinance number 25-05. An ordinance relating to the changing of zoning of certain property from R1 residential to IL light industrial. Property in question is 1.4 acres, more or less, located at Griffiths Lane, parcel number 034-SE0-20-003, in an unincorporated area of the county. Whereas the Fiscal Court of Bullitt County has considered the evidence of the public hearing held by the Joint Planning Commission and the recommendations of the Commission, the information provided in the staff report of the Office of Bullitt County Planning and Zoning, and the testimony and evidence presented at the public hearing held by the Fiscal Court, and whereas the Fiscal Court concurs in and adopts the reasons of the Joint Planning Commission for said zoning change and approves and accepts the recommendations of the Planning Commission in this matter as set out in said minutes, and determines that the proposed zoning change is acceptable and should be approved. Now therefore be it ordained by the Fiscal Court of County of Bullitt, Commonwealth of Kentucky, Section 1, that the above property located in the unincorporated area of Bullitt County, and more particularly described in the minutes and records of the Planning Commission in docket number 2024Z-64, is hereby changed from R1 residential to IL light industrial. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect upon passage and publication as required by law. Section 3, should any section, provision, or part of this ordinance be declared unconstitutional or invalid for any reason by a court of competent jurisdiction, and the remainder of this ordinance shall not be effective and shall remain in full force in effect. Section 4, all ordinances and resolutions to the extent they are inconsistent herewith are hereby repealed. Given first reading and public hearing at a regular meeting of the Bullitt County Fiscal Court on the 4th day of February 2025, to be given second reading at a regular meeting of the Bullitt County Fiscal Court on the 18th day of February 2025.
Thank you, Tammy. Anyone here to speak for zoning ordinance 25-05 GAB Enterprises LLC? Hearing or seeing none. Anyone here to speak against zoning ordinance 25-05, the GAB Enterprises LLC? Okay, seeing or hearing none, thank you all. First reading public hearing for zoning ordinance 25-06, A&K Properties.
Docket number 2024Z-65. Owner applicant is A&K Properties. Rezoning request is from R1 to light industrial. Location is Griffiths Lane with parcel number 034-000-00-055. Located in the unincorporated area of the county. Size of the property is 7.92 acres more or less. Purpose is to build a 11,500 square foot fabrication shop. Comprehensive plan calls for agricultural, rural residential. Bullitt County Planning Commission held a meeting January 9th of 2025. Based upon the testimony of the applicant, the Bullitt County Planning Commission finds the map amendment was not in agreement with the comprehensive plan. However, the surrounding properties were being used as commercial and industrial purposes. The sidewalk portion of the landscaping requirements shall be waived unless neighboring parcel is developed with a sidewalk. Based upon the testimony received at the public hearing, the Bullitt County Planning Commission recommends the zoning change be approved and sends a favorable recommendation to Bullitt County Fiscal Court.
Tammy?
Judge, if I may ask
Yeah,
a question real quick. Angie, I've got 9.179 acres. Did I get that wrong?
On the,
That was my
Staff
question.
report.
I think you said 7.92, and
Yeah.
our paperwork shows
do
9.179.
you have the
So mine
folders,
shows
Lisa?
Brian's looking right.
Right here on this.
A&K.
A&K.
I'm a little
Oh,
confused.
7.92.
7.92
I don't know where
there.
it's now. 7.92. Okay. Commonwealth of Kentucky, County of Bullitt, zoning ordinance number 25-06. An ordinance relating to the changing of zoning of certain property from R1 residential to IL light industrial. The property in question is 7.92 acres more or less, located at Griffiths Lane, parcel number 034-000-00-055 in an unincorporated area of the county. Whereas the Fiscal Court of Bullitt County has considered the evidence of the public hearing held by the Joint Planning Commission and the recommendations of the commission, the information provided in the staff report of the Office of Bullitt County Planning and Zoning, and the testimony and evidence presented at the public hearing held by the Fiscal Court, and whereas the Fiscal Court concurs in and adopts the reasons of the Joint Planning Commission for said zoning change and approves and accepts the recommendations of the Planning Commission in this matter as set out in said minutes, and determines that the proposed zoning change is acceptable and should be approved. Now therefore be it ordained by the Fiscal Court of County of Bullitt, Commonwealth of Kentucky, Section 1, that the above property located in the unincorporated area of Bullitt County, more particularly described in the minutes and records of the Planning Commission, and docket number 2024Z-65, is hereby changed from R1 residential to IL light industrial. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect upon passage and publication as required by law. Section 3, should any section, provision, or part of this ordinance be declared unconstitutional or invalid for any reason by a court of competent jurisdiction, and the remainder of this ordinance shall not be affected and shall remain in full force in effect. Section 4, all ordinances and resolutions to the extent they are inconsistent herewith are hereby repealed. Given first reading and public hearing at a regular meeting of the Bullitt County Fiscal Court on the 4th day of February 2025, be given second reading at a regular meeting of the Bullitt County Fiscal Court on the 18th day of February 2025.
Thank you, Tammy. Anyone here to speak for zoning ordinance 25-06, A&K Properties? Hearing or seeing none, anyone here to speak against zoning ordinance 25-06, A&K Properties? Angie, first reading and public hearing for zoning ordinance 25-07, James Jewell.
Docket number 2025Z-03. Owner applicant is James Jewell, rezoning from R2 to B1. The location is 250 Armstrong Lane, with parcel number 070-000-00-087I, located in the unincorporated area of the county. Size of the property is 1.521, more or less. Purpose is storage facility, retail. Comprehensive plan calls for commercial. The Bullitt County Planning Commission held a meeting on January 9th of 2025. Based upon the testimony of the applicant, the Bullitt County Planning Commission finds the map amendment is in agreement with the comprehensive plan. Because of the testimony received at the public hearing, the Bullitt County Planning Commission recommends a zoning change be approved and sends a favorable recommendation to Bullitt County Fiscal Court.
Thank you, Angie. Tammy?
Commonwealth of Kentucky, County of Bullitt, zoning ordinance number 25-07. An ordinance relating to the changing of zoning of certain property from R2 residential to B1 highway business. Property in question is 1.521 acres, more or less, located at 250 Armstrong Lane, parcel number 070-000-00-087I, in an unincorporated area of the county. Whereas the Fiscal Court of Bullitt County has considered the evidence of the public hearing held by the Joint Planning Commission and the recommendations of the Commission, information provided in the staff report of the Office of Bullitt County Planning and Zoning, and the testimony and evidence presented at the public hearing held by the Fiscal Court, and whereas the Fiscal Court concurs in and adopts the reasons of the Joint Planning Commission for said zoning change, and approves and accepts the recommendations of the Planning Commission in this matter as set out in said minutes, and determines that the proposed zoning change is acceptable and should be approved. Now therefore be it ordained by the Fiscal Court of County of Bullitt, Commonwealth of Kentucky, Section 1, that the above property located in the unincorporated area of Bullitt County, and more particularly described in the minutes and records of the Planning Commission, docket number 2025Z-03, hereby changed from R2 residential to B1 highway business. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect upon passage and publication as required by law. Section 3, should any section, provision, or part of this ordinance be declared unconstitutional or invalid for any reason by a court of competent jurisdiction, then the remainder of this ordinance shall not be effective and shall remain in full force and effect. Section 4, all ordinances and resolutions to the extent they are inconsistent herewith are hereby repealed. Given first reading and public hearing at a regular meeting of the Bullitt County Fiscal Court on the 4th day of February 2025, to be given second reading at a regular meeting of the Bullitt County Fiscal Court on the 18th day of February 2025.
Thank you, Tammy. Anyone here to speak for zoning ordinance 25-07, James Jewell? Hearing and seeing none. Anyone here to speak against zoning ordinance 25-07, James Jewell? Yes, ma'am. Ms. Shoemaker?
Thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm Diana Shoemaker, and I live within a mile of this property that we're speaking of at 250 Armstrong Lane. Armstrong Lane is not a highway. It's a two-lane country road. They like to change this to B1 Business Highway. The nearest highway is Highway 44, and this piece of property has no road frontage on Highway 44 whatsoever. It should not be a highway business at all. There are 6 residential neighborhoods within 1 mile of this piece of property: Forest Ridge, Helmwood, Briarfields, Wildwoods, Harvest Point, and Autumn Glen. We need Armstrong Lane to remain residential. We could potentially decrease property values because people who buy houses in residential neighborhoods want to live next to other residential neighborhoods. They want to live next to other houses like where they live. Another reason that we shouldn't change this zoning is because of the traffic that's occurring on Armstrong Lane. Southeast Christian is right there, and every time there's an event, a church, Bible studies, they do a lot for the community. The traffic pours out on Armstrong Lane because that's how they can turn left at the light. Their only other exit is only to turn right towards Mount Washington city limits. Plus, we have our new neighbors at Harvest Point, which is a higher density than the rest of the neighborhoods. So there's a lot of traffic right there, and we don't need more traffic. If you see the edge of the road nearby 250 Armstrong Lane, it's fallen apart. The other thing is that the drainage issues. You don't have to be a site manager to see uphill from downhill. And this piece of property has a definite downhill slant towards Helm Lane. Currently, when the water comes down that lane and we have any significant rain, there's already ponding on the neighbors and on the road on Helm Lane. In fact, Helm Lane has big cracks down the side where the asphalt is sliding away right now. If we put in buildings and concrete and asphalt parking lots, there's more of that with any business, not just the one that's proposed. You'll have increased impermeable surfaces, which will send that rain even faster towards Helm Lane, causing more drainage issues for the people that live on Helm Lane and possibly continue to exacerbate these cracks and sliding away of the road on Helm Lane. So, in conclusion, I think that the drainage and the traffic and the fact that there are 6 neighborhoods surrounding this property is a reason for fiscal court to say no to this zoning change. It's not good for Bullitt County. Any road changes or drainage, that has to be paid for by the taxpayers. And so you would be increasing the things that Bullitt County would have to do to fix. So we don't need to make more problems for ourselves. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Okay.
Just a second, Ms. Shoemaker. Thank you for coming. Did you go to the planning zoning committee?
I did not. I didn't realize when it was. The print is so small on those planning and zoning signs that you drive by, you can't see it, really. You can see a
The
sign, but
reason I was asking, I haven't had anybody personally reach out for or against, but my question was, I didn't know if you knew exactly what they were proposing to put on this particular piece of property. I heard storage units, but I don't know.
I heard storage units, but I don't know if it's indoor or outdoor. I don't know if they're going to park RVs, if they're going to put boats, if they're going to have units. Any of that would cause impermeable surfaces, whether it's a roof or if it's asphalt.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Ms. Shoemaker, thank you so much. That's very professional and well done.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Angie, first reading public hearing for zoning ordinance 25-08. Jeffrey and Michelle Poole.
Docket number 2025Z-04, owner applicant Jeffrey and Michelle Poole. The rezoning Ag to R1. The location is 1732 Knob Creek Road with parcel number 011-000-000-002F as in Frank, located in the unincorporated area of the county. Size of the property is 1.255 acres more or less. Purpose is to build a single-family dwelling. The comprehensive plan calls for agricultural, rural residential. The Bullitt County Planning Commission held a public hearing on January 9th of 2025. Based upon the testimony of the applicant at the Bullitt County Planning Commission finds that the map amendment is in agreement with the comprehensive plan. Because of the testimony received at the public hearing, the Bullitt County Planning Commission recommends zoning change be approved and sends a favorable recommendation to Bullitt County Fiscal Court.
Thank you, Angie. Tammy?
Commonwealth of Kentucky, County of Bullitt, zoning ordinance number 25-08. An ordinance relating to the changing of zoning of certain property from agricultural to R1 residential. Property in question is 1.244 acres, more or less, located at 1732 Knob Creek Road, parcel number 011-000-000-002F, in an unincorporated area of the county. Whereas the Fiscal Court of Bullitt County has considered the evidence of the public hearing held by the Joint Planning Commission and the recommendations of the Commission, the information provided in the staff report of the Office of Bullitt County Planning and Zoning, and the testimony and evidence presented at the public hearing held by the Fiscal Court, and whereas the Fiscal Court concurs in and adopts the reasons of the Joint Planning Commission for said zoning change, and approves and accepts the recommendations of the Planning Commission in this matter as set out in said minutes, and determines that the proposed zoning change is acceptable and should be approved. Now therefore be it ordained by the Fiscal Court of County of Bullitt, Commonwealth of Kentucky. Section 1, that the above property located in the unincorporated area of Bullitt County, and more particularly described in the minutes and records of the Planning Commission, in docket number 2025Z-04, is hereby changed from agricultural to R1 residential. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect upon passage and publication as required by law. Section 3, should any section, provision, or part of this ordinance be declared unconstitutional or invalid for any reason by a court of competent jurisdiction, the remainder of this ordinance shall not be affected and shall remain in full force and effect. Section 4. All ordinances and resolutions to the extent they are inconsistent herewith are hereby repealed. given first reading and public hearing at a regular meeting of the Bullitt County Fiscal Court on the 4th day of February 2025, be given second reading at a regular meeting of the Bullitt County Fiscal Court on the 18th day of February 2025.
Thank you, Tammy. Anyone here to speak for zoning ordinance 25-08? Jeffrey and Michelle Poole. Hearing or seeing none, anyone here to speak against zoning ordinance 25-08? Jeffrey and Michelle Poole. Hearing or seeing none, thank you all, and they'll have a lovely home on that property. At this time, cost of living increase for the magistrates in the amount of 2.9%. A little bit of history on that. The last court, and by law, the magistrates cannot set their salaries until it's an election year. And they set the salaries, and with the ordinance it read that they were to get the cost of living raise moving forward, like Madison and other counties do as well. But apparently, in dialogue with the DLG, we have to make a separate motion for them to be able to receive their, what I'm going to say, their COLA, their cost of living increase. Their base salary is $25,000, so it's a parsimonious amount for what they do. And at this time, I'm going to make the motion to approve the 2.9% increase for their COLA, or their cost of living.
I'll second it.
I have a second by Vera Sanders. Sam, call the roll, please.
Sanders,
Yes.
Logston,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Yes.
Lehmel, Judge Summers,
Yes.
motion carried.
Thank you. Tammy, if you'd like to chat about the quote for the
Yes, thank you. Thank you,
safety of your office.
Yes, thank you so much. So I know all of you magistrates have been to the county attorney's office before, and we've got the 4 panes of glass. When you first walk in the door, you've got the 2 panes of glass, and you've got 2 more panes on the sides. They're not bulletproof or bullet resistant in any way, and as you all can imagine, we get a lot of people who come into our office who are unhappy with us. And so I have 2 women who sit up front and answer my phones, and if someone were to come in there with a weapon, they're setting ducks right there. I mean, it's my request that you would approve the quote for the bullet resistant class. Larry Dangerfield came in and did the quote, and my lady sitting up front would appreciate it very much.
And we've had that done in the judge's office and here in this facility as well, with those 2 doors out there. So it's an opportunity for us to protect the employees of our county. And Walt, if you might want to correct me, I thought you did the same thing. You haven't done that yet?
I would sure love for the fiscal court to, we have, even more irate people come into the
Oh,
sheriff's
absolutely.
and I've got 5
Employees,
people
right.
set up front to deal with everybody. The glass is not, when it was built, it has not been
Okay.
bulletproof. We have, we've come up with some ideas that I'm not going to speak of to
Sure.
provide some level of protection in a fashion, but it's not bulletproof glass
And-
or bullet-resistant glass. for
Right.
that matter.
And what we can do, we can have it, because in our research, we only found a person in this area that could do that and guarantee, what I'm going to say, success. Now, when it comes to something that you would see somebody carrying in here, it's a different scenario. So we will be happy to send them over there to get a quote for you. We also did one for the Commonwealth Attorney's Office as well, because safety is a priority for our folks in this building.
Speaking on behalf of everybody working in our front office, I appreciate it very, very much. And I look forward to seeing whoever it is that you send over.
Okay.
We're in offline, I'll discuss with you some
Sure.
of the reasons that it's becoming more poignant that we do this in a private setting.
We will. So
I have a question.
sure.
Will the funds be coming out of the building fund, our general funds, or will it come out of the county funds?
Courthouse
Okay.
maintenance
Thank you.
funds. We have funding for
Great,
repairs to the courthouse and what I'm going to say changes as well.
great. Thank you.
And it's only like it's well under the requirement for.
Well, to echo what you said, I think safety, obviously, for all of our employees here is top priority. So I'll put that in the form of a motion, then I would encourage, after this meeting, to go ahead and get a quote for the sheriff's office. But in regard to the county attorney's office, I'll put in the form of a motion that we accept the quote from Dangerfield Construction in the amount of $21,245 for bulletproof windows.
I'll second.
Any other discussion, members?
And there's a lot more work than just windows, framing,
Oh, yeah.
demo, and all kinds of
Absolutely.
very detailed
Right.
quote there.
Yeah, it's more than just
Yeah,
glass.
more
It's the
than-
entire
more.
thing, and it includes trays to send papers back and forth,
Yeah.
so you can't have any openings in the glass, so it includes all that.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so Sam, well, I have a motion by Second District Magistrate Logsdon, a second by First District Magistrate Sanders to approve the quote for the bulletproof glass in the county attorney's office. Sam, call the roll, please.
Logsdon?
Yes.
Johnson? Yes. Blamel?
Yes.
Judge Summers?
Yes.
Sanders?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. New hires and promotion, Janice. I can start. Amber Phillips, changing her status from a part-time EMTA to part-time paramedic effective 2/5/25, salary increase from $22.95 to $28.45.
And that is like a difference of $5. That's
Yes.
what we're trying to do.
Absolutely.
Keep the
And,
rate.
and the reason, and to refresh your all's memories, the reason why the salaries are a little bit different, because we did the PD&Rs down there last year, and that's how they were reviewed, and that was what their increments were. That's why they're not just dead cut in stone, like at $22.50 or whatever. So that's my recommendation for Amber.
Second.
I got a second by Fourth District Magistrate Blamel. Sam, call the roll.
Johnson?
Yes.
Blamel?
Yes.
Judge Summers?
Yes.
Sanders?
Yes.
Logsdon?
Yes.
Motion carried.
And then, while you're up here, Janice Brandon Hemming is promoted to full-time paramedic, from full-time paramedic to full-time training officer, effective 2/4/25, salary change from $27 an hour to an annual salary of $67,000 a year. And to help you a little bit, we do have the funding there available because we had an employee, we did some consolidation of resources down there, and we still have a position that we haven't filled yet as well. And training is of the utmost for EMS because K-Beams keeps changing their requirements literally quarterly and annually.
Now, would this person be responsible for like coordination with the schools and our training program there as well, or?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Is this
And-
replacing someone, or is it?
No,
No, he's adding to,
So it's a new position.
yes.
So how many training officers will this make us have?
we have the training coordinator and then the assistant, and he's the training officer. He's currently training, or teaching the advanced EMT classes they have going on right now, so.
So it's the same one for EMT, paramedic,
Yes.
as long as they're.
So does that does that have the capability of them taking a EMT to a paramedic? Or they have the education requirements to do that, or how's that work?
Yes, however, for us to teach paramedic classes, we have to be accredited through the college or through the American College of Surgeons and get accreditation, which is a very long process. We do have the ability to teach those classes, however, we have to have accreditation.
Okay.
But as of right now, he can do the EMT and the advanced classes. so.
EMTA.
That's interesting, though. That could be a possibility maybe down the road or something, partnering with a community college or college and.
Yeah, we reached down to Hopkins Fire Department, I believe. They are seeking partners to help them with their accreditation. So we reached down to them, and maybe next year we'll explore helping them with their accreditation and then turn them up that way.
If somebody wanted to go become, is JCC, who's the closest educational schools that provide that? Yeah. Okay.
Go to
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Any other questions? I'm going to put that in the form of a motion on Brandon Hemming.
Second.
Got a second by Second District Magistrate Logsdon. Sam, call the roll, please.
Fleenel,
Yes.
Judge Summers,
Yes.
Sanders,
Yes.
Logston,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
motion carried.
Thank you. The next two, Abigail Atwell, she couldn't be here this morning. She's one of our graduates from the 2023 EMT class that we sponsor, we put on with the JCTC, and she's applying for a job. She's passed her EMT nationals, and she'd like to come work for us on 212 at 2025.
Very bright young lady. We're happy to have her aboard.
Yep. And this is part of why we've done that program. We've had a couple be really successful come through and become paramedics as well, and moved on down to advanced classes in the medical field, furthering their education.
I'll second that motion.
Any other discussion, members?
How many of the students from 2023 were working?
I'm not sure that, I think she's actually the first one
Yeah.
that has applied from the 23 one. Yeah, because I even asked her in the interview if she knew of anybody that was working there at the time, and she didn't know anybody.
How
so.
many did y'all have in that class?
Do you remember, Chris, at all?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Thank you.
Quick question, when they finish the program though, what other requirements do they have to take a state, national test, or what do they do after that?
This is, we're talking about the program through JCTC. Obviously, they have to graduate high school, but they final exam for the class, and then they have to register and take a national test. Once they take the national test, if they pass at least 6 attempts then, after 3 attempts, they have to take a 24-hour refresher course. Then they get 3 additional attempts. Once they pass that, then they have to submit to Kentucky before DMS to become licensed.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a fairly lengthy process, just like the paramedic. I mean, she can start today as an EMT, but it's a minimum of 2 years before she can apply after her educational process and her ride time to be a paramedic as well.
Okay.
Or any of them, doesn't matter if it's he, she, or
Yeah, I was just
whoever.
curious with her graduating 23, you know, not being nosy, but I didn't know if it was part of the process, or I mean, she could have a million other life things going on, but I was just curious if it takes a while after the class to get certifications and testing and stuff.
Typically, if you test a student class begins and you're able to pass the test, typically you can be certified in a couple of months.
Okay.
With her specifically, for insight, she decided to go work somewhere else. After the end of the class, you have 2 years to test and get certified to work.
Okay.
So her 2 years was approached and she decided, I'm not going to do that.
Okay, yeah, okay, makes
She wanted to
perfect.
try something new before she
Yeah, well,
made the
I'm-
commitment, so.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay. Well, I'll put that in form of a motion.
And I second it.
Got a second by Second District Magistrate Logsdon. And Sam, if you'll call the roll, please.
Judge Summers,
Yes?
Sanders,
Yes.
Logston,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Fleenel,
Yes.
motion carried.
Thank you. And then Jeffrey Andrews, the full-time EMT at EMT at $19.50 an hour, effective 2/12/25. I'm going to put that in the form of a motion, and Janice is here for answer any questions.
Second.
Got a second by Second District Magistrate Logsdon. Sam, call the roll, please.
Sanders,
Yes.
Logston,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Fleenel,
Yes.
Judge Summers,
Yes.
motion carried.
Thank you. Thank you, Janice. Chris, thank you for answering the questions. Brian, I'll start with you this time. Is that fair enough?
Yes, sir. So the one thing I would like to bring up is about the cost of living, or CPI, price index.
Uh-huh.
So I know we've been doing merit raises on employees, and I would like to, I don't know if we need to make it in the form of a motion because we haven't done a budget, but as we do the budget, make sure that all of our employees at least receive cost of living, consumer price index on their raises. got so expensive. So when we go, I know we haven't done the budget.
Right.
When we pass the budget, they get that, and then if there's something, if they're above and beyond, everybody gets that. I'd just like to break that part up.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, Karen?
So the weather's calmed down a little bit, and I hated the video bringing back all the ice storm, snow, brought back bad memories. So it's been really quiet the last couple of weeks, but give us some time to work on the pool. It's going to be on the agenda 2 weeks from now, but we're going to meet one day this week. And so we got the pool rolling along and get ready for the summer.
Okay. Sean?
Yeah, I got a couple things. First, let me bring this up. I think I passed everybody one of these up. I would have notified everybody a lot earlier about this, but it kind of came in late, so I'm just going to go ahead and bring it up. If anybody's got a problem, we can talk about it. But I passed out a quote from Safety Co, and I'll tell you how this developed. We got a call from one of our subdivisions about speed bumps, and we talked with Robert, road department supervisor, and kind of got some other advice as well. And it's one of those things, I think, as a county, we don't want to really go down that road and crack that door open because of liability if there were to be damage to a vehicle on a county road. And another big thing is snow removal, my understanding. Without those bumps being marked properly, it can do a lot of damage to the snow plows and different things like that, or cause other issues as well. But there is several subdivisions throughout Bullitt County that fall within the county outside of city limits. So Robert and me had talked a little bit, and the idea was brought up about the trailer radar systems. I mean, obviously that may not be entirely as effective as a speed bump in some cases to slow people down, but also I think it's extremely effective. I know anytime I see one of those trailer-mounted radar systems, I have a tendency to hit my brake or slow down. And that's, I think, the whole justification behind having those. So with that being said, Robert and myself was talking, and he said it's something that he's thought about and wanted for a long time, actually, for a number of different reasons. So he got a quote on getting 2 of those, and he felt like 2 would be a really good number to have so that we could move those around the county. The quote on each one of them is $14,000, but it includes a lot of different things. It's a radar speed trailer. I think everybody in here is probably familiar with them. Trailer-mounted system that when you speed, it'll flash and it'll show you your speed limit. These actually have a police package upgrade built into them, as well as another thing that's really going to be beneficial for the county. It's got a custom message board and all the software. So talking with Robert, if he wanted to close a road down, you could park one of these there, road closed, flashing. I think our emergency management might have one of them, the flashing sign, but this would give us two other ones with the capability of radar. And our vision was thinking that maybe we could move these throughout the county, different areas, subdivisions, take some pressure, maybe help, even the sheriff's department in coordination with, with them at certain times that may need some increased deterrence, I guess you could say. But I'd like to make a motion. I've passed these quotes out. I talked to Robert, and we just surplus some items at the road department that exceeded $32,000, maybe somewhere like that. Ken Ann's assured me that money, and talking with Robert, he wanted to utilize that money, and if not that money, there's money in his budget, according to him, to go ahead and make the purchase of these 2. So I talked to y'all very briefly. I wish it kind of if it came about a little earlier, I would have gave you more time to think about it. But I think it's something that could benefit all of us, including the sheriff's department, where these radar trailer systems could be moved around the county. And then also having that message board capability. So in the event a road's closed, a tree's down, blacktopping, long delays, a lot of different things could be utilized for that. But I'd like to put it in the form of a motion, and unless anybody has any specific questions. But the quote, it didn't, technically speaking, based on the dollar amount, he could have went ahead and made the purchase without bringing it in front of the court. But we talked and wanted to keep everybody kind of on the same page based on the value. But the company that provides these is Safety Co. right here in Louisville. They service them, provide the software, a lot of support in the event something needs to be repaired or fixed, but the total quote for 2 of these speed trailers would be $28,000. And as I said, he just surplus some items that exceeded that amount. I'd like to make a motion that we accept the quote for 2 of the compact radar speed trailers and everything else that's in the quote from Safety Co. in the amount of $28,000.
So these on the radar, does that report the radar, or is that just flash and tell you what it is?
To my knowledge, right now, it does have the police package upgrade, but this one right here would be more of a deterrence than any way of, and I've talked to Sheriff Scholler about in the future, there might be an additional upgrade where that could lock in and collect license plates and, that type of things. But to my knowledge, based on the pricing structure of these are more of the deterrent type thing. It'll flash and show your speed, but it won't lock in your license plate or anything like that. I would imagine that those would be significantly more expensive to be able to capture all that. And I might be wrong. That may fall within there, but that wasn't the intent necessarily going into this, is to be able to capture that stuff as much as it was moving these around as a deterrent than having that message board capability.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Mhm.
If I may add to Brian's question, or that explanation. We had one of our deputies spend many years with the traffic division of the Louisville Metro Police Department. And so after I spoke with you yesterday, Sean, I spoke with him this morning and asked him just, how, and he said that as far as deterrence, there's X number of people out there that he is of the belief, one, they don't realize how difficult it is to penalize them for ignoring the sign and the speed limit. And then there's X number of people, which is probably a majority of folks, they just reminding them that they're going faster than they should be going, or this or that, which is like in one place that I noted is along the stretch of road by the park in Mount Washington. They have 2 up there, but there are some things in a very, very brief discussion that I had with the county attorney. Ms. Baker and I have said, we're talking about a seconds-long conversation. There is a means by which we may be able to, whether we upgrade or not, get in a position to where we can record, utilizing some other equipment that the sheriff's office has, to record the vehicle along with that radar recording the speed, and can thereby take some enforcement action if it becomes an appropriate thing to consider by people ignoring the radar sign.
Yeah.
And we get requests, not quite daily, but we get multiple requests a week for us to do additional patrol at various areas because of speeding. So I think it would be, whether you all involve us in the program or not, I think it's a tremendous idea, whether it's the Fiscal Court does it all on its own, or whether you involve us in the program of where to set it and when to set it. I think it's a great idea. There was one here when I became sheriff. It was an old one that was not functional, and the sheriff's office had gotten it through the DRMO program, the 1033, where they receive surplus property from the Department of Defense. By the time I became sheriff, it didn't work at all, and when I looked into the cost of having it repaired, it was rusty and so forth, and it was going to be thousands and thousands of dollars to repair it, and so we surplused it soon after I became, within a year or 2 after I became sheriff.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, and I've envisioned, and I've talked to Robert a little bit about it, but I envision that there would be some cooperation there, and you know some of the spots. These things won't do any good sitting in the parking lot of the road department, so I would like to see them out used and just, moved around the county. And I'm sure there'd be a lot of guidance from you of where there's some hot spots and where they need to go. But the conversation kind of got started with one subdivision in my district in particular where they've had some issues with speed. And I know you all patrolled there extra and stuff, but they were requesting those speed bumps. So this might be an alternative, in lieu of being able to do that, but be able to provide something, and I think it could benefit everybody.
The
Thank
city
you.
of Hillview just recently, well, not just recently, I don't know, the last 5 years, started using them, and I think they really made a huge difference. And I know that they've even added on, I think we started out with like 2 and maybe have 4 or 5 now, because we get such good results. But we're also able to see a lot of the statistics of the average speed, and kind of know, maybe can pinpoint some days and times where you might want to send extra patrol out. So hopefully, Regis, I don't know that you can get that data, but hopefully it wouldn't cost too much to add that to it, because I think it's really important to have that data.
Yeah, it says it has a traffic analyzer software. Now, I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer to get it, but I think that even getting these may lead to other questions in the future, you know, as we could potentially add more. But I think this would be a great start. But I mean, it could potentially have that capability in the software where you could download, like you're suggesting, and you've left this, you know, machine or trailer out in a certain subdivision, you download the data and it says, well, like you said, wow, this thing's flashed a lot at this time, and that may give you some insight too. So it'd be interesting, but I think it opens the door for a lot of conversations.
Just real quick, everything that you all are talking about is part of the Safe Streets for All grant. That money will be hopefully available in March. The Sheriff's Department is part of the committee. We do have a safety committee. We have one meeting yesterday. We have another meeting Thursday. Close this out. One of the recommendations, one of the more inexpensive recommendations is doing exactly what you're saying. But there's going to be money available to pay for this in a bigger program.
Okay.
Where you'll look at all of the street we've got, and I did the presentation here, showed where the most dangerous streets are, where the fatal accidents are. That'd be the first place you'd look. That all of the places where there are accidents, different things that have an impact on the county, we even looked at the monetary impact, and it's almost $1 million these accidents have.
Yeah.
Just on personal impact. So we did have, having lit up signs, having the ones that you all are talking about. Again, the sheriff has representatives on our safety committee as well. Hopefully by March, again, I'm not saying to not do what you all are doing, but we can pay for that out of that grant. Again, it's federal. Hopefully the money in March. We had a fall, we did have a fall, so that, you know, that could be in the next couple of months. But that is part of the program that we have. We're going to finalize a lot of that tomorrow in a one-on-one meeting.
Okay.
So just to let you all know, all of these things that you're talking about are part of that. And it's fixing roads, it's adding lanes, it's putting road money in, but some of the less expensive things are what you're doing. That could be a big picture that we can do across the county.
Okay. Yep.
Point of information.
So
So I've got a motion
I have
on
a
the
motion,
floor.
yeah, to accept the estimate and the bid for $28,000 for the 2 Safe Street signs.
I'll second.
Got a second by 3rd District Magistrate Johnson. Sam, call a roll.
Logston,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Blemo,
Yes.
Judge Summers,
Yes,
Sanders,
Yes.
motion carried.
thank you. Anything else, Sean?
Yeah, one other thing. I've got 2 complaints, and I'm just going to ask this out loud because I don't really know. I can't remember what we did in the past and if there is a contract. But countywide trash services, is that open for anybody? Is there a contract or?
We don't-
I know, like the city of Mount Washington, for example, they just changed. They changed trash
Sure.
service and they did a contract for that.
Cities can do a garbage franchise.
Okay.
The county doesn't do that.
County doesn't do that.
That's why the garbage collection is cheaper inside the cities than it is.
Right.
The lady contacted me in the county and said she's had a hard time finding somebody else to provide service, and she's not getting good service. And then her neighbor basically called me the next day and said the same thing. So I wasn't entirely for sure if that was something that anybody can provide or if they have to go through the county.
No, we don't have no,
So countywide trash service is open to anybody.
Yep.
There's not any kind of permit required or licensing or anything?
no.
In my area, which I'm out in the county, there's at least 3
Okay.
different companies that pick up.
I might want to
Yeah.
get those names from you and see if they service Mount Washington as well, because there's one in particular that they're just having a hard time with, and so I wanted to give them some other options, but I wanted to bring it.
But that person's not in the city of Mount Washington.
No, they're in the county, yeah. Okay. Last thing, I'm gonna be the auctioneer, on February 15th at the Fight Foundation Valentine's Gala at Paracott
Yep.
Springs. So I think they got a few tickets left, not very many, but it's a really, really, really nice event at Paracott Springs on February 15th. It's, for pediatric cancer research. So all the funds, all the money, raised for that event goes towards pediatric cancer research. So if you're not doing anything and want a nice date night, you get dressed up and go to Paracott Springs on February the 15th. But that's all I got. Thanks for everybody coming out today.
Okay, thank you, Sean. Vera?
I'd just like to thank everyone for coming today. We've had a good week as far as weather over the weekend and yesterday. And I know we're going to be getting some different weather starting this evening. But I'd just like to thank everyone for coming. Guess I'll see everyone next Tuesday.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to thank Clerk Mooney for being here today and doing the invocation, and Mayor Taylor for being here as well, Councilwoman Portman, Councilwoman Preston, who just, I know she has appointments, she just left, and Councilperson Selby from Fox Chase. I just want to remind everybody about Dagger at the Yano Range. I attended a Board of Directors meeting for the Knox Regional Development Authority. They're going to start March 1. They have 200 dates there. They've completed all the electronics. So if you live literally west of 61 or all the way up here in Shepherdsville, we're going to expect a lot of noise, because when they start in March, they've done eliminated 60-something days out of the year, and there's about 300 left, but they're going to use it 200 days in 2025. So just be prepared. I'll announce this at every meeting, so folks won't be surprised. Again, thank all of y'all for being here. Mr. Heath, thank you for coming. And Perry, you too. The rest of y'all have a blessed day. And what time is it, Vera?
The time is 10:40. Time to adjourn.
Second.
Got a second by 4th District Magistrate Blamel. Sam, call roll, please.
Johnson?
Yes.
Blamel?
Yes.
Judge Summers?
Yes.
Judge Summers?
Yes.
Sanders?
Yes.
Logston?
Yes.